Now this was funny, funny, real funny right here. So one morning I was reading the newspaper, an article that Cynthia Jones had written for the Commercial Appeal. She had interviewed me at Herenton. And he was in there telling me he was thinking about not running for re-election. I said to myself, the Lord. And so he walked down the hall and I called him in. I said, man, I just read this article. You was something you might not run for. He said, yeah, I was just talking. And so he walked out of the office and I said to myself, girl, you better think about yourself because I'm an appointed employee. If he wakes up and decides not to run one day and a new mayor come in here, I'm going to be out on the street somewhere. And so a job came over now. They're like gas and water. Here come Merrill Purvis again. Gail, girl, you need to be taking your next step. You need to be doing something. And so Joseph Lee was the president, and he had been trying to hire me for a while. And I just, I love my work at the city. I really did. And I was able to help people in the job that I had. So after that situation, and so I went in and talked to Mayor Herenton. I said, Mayor Herenton, he was in the conference room signing. He would go in there and sit just for hours, sign the contract. So
hey everybody, I'm back with another episode of So Success Stories. And today I have a really special privilege to be talking to someone I have looked up to and admired from afar. And then I actually got to know her. And it's been a long time that I have really respected this woman. And her name is Gale Jones Carson. And Gale is the Interim President and CEO of the Memphis Urban League now. So she has had an amazing career and an amazing life, and I'm excited to get into her story. So Gale, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, I want to thank you for inviting me on, and not only that, for sharing these success stories of many people. I don't know if you have ever noticed on my social media page, especially Facebook, I'm always sharing positive stories about mostly people of color, because there's so much negative out there. I do want people to know that there are positive stories out there. But to tell you about myself, my mother had 4 sets of twins. I am a twin. Every time she got pregnant, she had a set of twins. And each set is boy, girl, each time, and we all were 2 years apart. So the youngest set of twins, Terry and Teresa, Terry died when he was maybe like 3 or 4 months of crib death. So my mom, she raised 7 children. So we saw her go back to night school, BTW. We saw her go to Owen College, because it used to be Owen before it was Lemoyne Owen. And so she went to Owen, then she went to Lemoyne Owen, got her degree, and she got a master's degree from the University of Memphis. All while she was doing this, we saw her get on a bus, get transfers, and go across town and iron clothes for other people. So this is the household that I grew up in, with a mother who went through all kinds of challenges. We were growing with her. As a matter of fact, I learned how to study when I was for college, because we always were helping her study for tests. Because, back then it was a lot of rote memory. So this is the household we grew up in. And then when I had children, I had 2 boys. And I always said, if my mother could raise 7, I certainly could raise 2. So my stamina and my fight and my drive to keep going basically comes from the household, from that lady right there, who I grew up with. I graduated from Hamilton High School, but I did go to Melrose Elementary. A lot of people don't know that Melrose was an elementary. But yeah, we moved to Glenview the second half of the 6th grade, and I went to Hamilton, graduated from there. And then my mom graduated from Lemoyne, and I hate to say this, but that's where she wanted me to go. But they didn't really try to recruit me back then, and Christian Brothers was really, really working on increasing their minority enrollment. So I went to Christian Brothers, we lived on campus. I stayed there for a couple of years. Now, this piece right here is something that's kind of important. So my mom initially started out in social work. She finished up in federal probation and parole. So my sophomore year, when it's time that you really need to focus on what you're going to major in, I was talking to her and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to major. I guess I'll major in social work. She said, no, you don't want to do that. Primarily because of the pay and And if you're doing your job, you're going to get emotionally involved with some of your clients. And she said, you've always been a good writer. Why don't you major in journalism? And at that time, Christian Brothers didn't have journalism nor communications. So I transferred to then Memphis State, and I majored in broadcast journalism. And one thing about my mother, every week we got this publication called the Tri-State Defender newspaper. And I just like would read it from cover to cover because I was just so excited. We got a publication about Black people, about my people. And so I was so excited about it. And so when I was going to Memphis State, I did do I took classes in radio, TV, broadcast, everything. But I did a free internship with the Tri-State Defender. I even had my own column. And so when I graduated, I'm not going to tell you what year, because that was 100 years ago, I graduated. And so I had several job offers, but the only job offer I had in my profession, in my field, was the Tri-State Defender. Now, the Tri-State, it paid less money, but I didn't go to school to do all that other stuff. So I went to work for the Tri-State Defender. And I worked there 3 months full time. And the lady who was the general manager was Audrey McGee. She lived around the corner from us. So she was a friend of my mom. She told me, she said, Gale, you can't stay here. I said, I can't. She said, no, you got to keep growing. You got to keep moving. So I listened to her. Even I love working for the Tri-State Defender. And so 3 months after working there, I went to work for Memphis Light, Gas and Water. So I worked twice. And so I went to work for Memphis Light, Gas and Water. I worked there a little over 6 years. And I was looking at the hierarchy in the department I worked in. I was like, Lord God, I don't think I'm gonna ever make it way up there with all these people above me. Because I started as a public information officer, coordinator, public information coordinator. So I left to go to work for Federal Express. And I didn't go to Federal Express for a higher position. I didn't go to Federal Express for more money because it was only like $500 a year more. So it was at $30 or some month more. But anyway, it wasn't for the money. But I felt like, and Federal Express was new, I felt like I could learn and I could grow. And believe me, I worked there 16 years before I retired. It was so much knowledge and experience, and then travel that was just on top of it, that I got to do with this new company. Now, my mom was having a heart attack about me leaving MLGW because, you know, back then you stayed on a solid job that paid pretty good, you know.
And that's FedEx now too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I worked at Federal Express. I did get a couple of promotions, and I love working there. And in 1999, October 1999, I lost my youngest son. He was 17 years old. It was Jason. And Brian had gone off to school. He was down at UT Martin. And Jason was following him to school one Saturday. And he lost control of his vehicle. So, and I stayed, I think, at Federal Express as long as I did because I wanted to be stable because I had Jason to take care of. Brian was gone. And so after Jason passed, I was, you know, I think I was ready to go on. And I had friends like Merle Purvis and other folks calling me because at that time, me and Herenton had a media relations position open. And they kept saying, Gale, that's your job, that's your job. And, you know, after Jason passed, I just, you know, I said, oh, I'll go for it. And so one time I was on my way out of town and I said, well, I'm just going to drop my resume off at the mayor's office. And I did. And so his assistant said, no, Gale, wait a minute. I said, wait a minute now. I'm not, he met the mayor went in his office. I had on some khakis and a sweater. I said, I'm not dressed to be seeing Mayor Herenton. So next thing I know, Mayor Herenton walking through the door. And he called me in and we started talking. He wouldn't take my resume. And he said, I already know your work. And so this is something else people need to take in right here. You never know who's watching you, who's watching your work. Because as I worked at Federal Express all those years, I continued. I freelanced for the Tri-State Defender. I covered government relations. I covered elected officials. I covered politics. It was stuff I loved to do. And he's back there. He watched all my work. So people never know. And I watch people all the time. I sit back, I look at people's work ethic, the quality of their work, how they treat people. So that was you know, when I left his office, I was on the elevator and I was like, Lord God, I got a job. I got another job. And so I worked for Mayor Herenton for 7 years. I left in 2007. Now this was funny, real funny right here. So one morning I was reading the newspaper, an article that Cynthia Jones had written for the Commercial Appeal. She had interviewed me at Herenton. And he was in there telling me he was thinking about not running for re-election. I said to myself, the Lord. And so he walked down the hall and I called him in. I said, man, I just read this article. You was talking about you might not run. He said, yeah, I was just talking. And so he walked out of the office and I said to myself, girl, you better think about yourself because I'm an appointed employee. If he wakes up and decides not to run one day and a new mayor come in here, I'm going to be out on the street somewhere. And so a job came over now. They're like, guess what? Here come Merrill Purvis again. Gail, girl, you need to be taking your next step. You need to be doing something. And so Joseph Lee was the president, and he had been trying to hire me for a while. And I just, I love my work at the city. I really did. And I was able to help people in the job that I had. So after that situation, and so I went in and talked to Mayor Herenton. I said, Mayor Herenton, he was in the conference room signing. He would go in there and sit just for hours, sign a contract. So I said, Mayor Herenton, there's a job in Memphis Light, Gas and Water that I'm interested in applying for. Girl, he just didn't say nothing for a minute or so. he was just shocked, because I'm like he told somebody, I'm just, I'm ride or die with the mayor. Whoever I work for, I believe in being loyal to your boss. If your boss is okay and treats you okay. And so he was just, he was the first Black mayor. I appreciated his manhood, his being 100%, 200% Black man, standing up, doing what I thought and he thought was right for the community. So, but at some point you still have to think about yourself. And so he told me when he gained his composure, he said, well, Gail, I've never stood in the way of people trying to move up. He said, I won't make any calls to block you. Even though some people think he made calls to give me the job. That's not true. So anyway, Joseph interviewed 3 people. All 3 of us had worked at MLGW before, except I had worked there the longest. The other 2 ladies, they had worked there like 2 or 3 years. And I had a wide range of experience. I had MLGW, which at that time they was called a quasi-government, but they ain't quasi-government anyway. Then I had the corporate experience at Federal Express. I had the freelance writing and the relationships that I had worked on with elected officials and government. And I just had a wider range of experience. So even if reporters wanted to say something negative about me, if they took all the resumes and took the names off of them, Gail was the most qualified person. And I got the job. For all you people out there who think that I got the job because somebody make a call for me, you're wrong, because that's not what happened. I deserved that job. I earned it. I worked my way up and I got it. So anyway, doing all of that, freelancing for the tri-state, I got involved in the political arena. And that was in 1988. My first campaign was for Veronica Coleman. She was a friend of my mom. She was running for the DA, the position that Steve Mulroy has now. And she needed somebody to do her communications and stuff, and I did that. In 1992, I got involved with the Democratic Party. And then I think 1995, Sidney Chisholm didn't run for the second year of his term on the Shelby County Democratic Executive Committee. So they had never had a woman president. A woman had never even run for the office. I ain't trying to be negative or nothing like that, but it just seemed like people was just all right with licking stamps, So I decided to run. And guess who I ran against?
Who?
Jim Strickland. Yes. Jim Strickland was on the executive committee. And I'm going to tell you about some women, because I support young people and I support females. I support my people. But there were some older women, I ain't going to even call their name, but when I write my book, their name's going to be in the book. So they had a meeting over there at the Peabody Hotel, trying to figure out a way to make sure that I lost. I was young, they were old. I ain't done nothing to nobody but worked hard. So, and one of the ladies who was in the meeting, she came back and told me, because she said she really didn't like it. She thought it was wrong. But anyway, Jim Strickland won by, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 votes. Wow. And when he won, he turned around and he said, Gail, you want to be my first vice president? I said, yeah. And so that was a smart move on his part, because if I got almost half the people to support me and you got the other half, you got a good committee. And so there was another person on the committee who ran, he didn't make the runoff. And so he wanted to say and tell people that it was a plan that I forced Strickland to win. I wasn't running for Strickland to win. Gale was running for Gale to win. Now he could tell that mess to whomever he wanted to, but I was running to win. So Strickland won. I was his first vice president. They had 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we have been friends ever since. And I mean, really good friends. I learned a lot about campaigning by watching him campaign for their position. So a few more years, I ran again. And you just don't know politics. So I know why my mom hates politics, because he was dirty, low down, or whatever, just because I wasn't in a certain clique. And, I was Lorraine E. Jones' daughter. She didn't teach me to bend, bow, kiss folks behind. I ain't never done that. And then so I wasn't on the right team. So I lost to somebody. I ain't even tell you all the political folks who got involved, but I lost. And so in 1999, Jason, my son who passed, the election was coming up again in October. And so Jason said, "Well, are you gonna run again?" I said, no, I'm tired. So my son told me, he said, "Mom, that's not how you taught us. You taught us to keep fighting and to keep doing whatever." I was tired at that time, tired of every time I raised my head, certain folks, Democrats and Black folks, that's who it was kicking me in the head and attacking me every chance they got. And then I couldn't run anyway, because a few months later is when he had his accident. Now, let me tell you about my friend Deidre Malone. And some of my other friends, I had some good friends now. I had some good friends. We'd be out there stone fighting in the political arena. So I went home grieving by my child who I lost. And they out there nominating me to be chairman of the party. And you better believe the person who won, he was so scared because he almost lost. But the people who didn't vote for me, because they said, "Well, Gale just lost her son. This ain't nothing she wanted to do." So I don't count that as a loss. So in 2001, when I was working for Mayor Herenton, I ran one more time. And so you better believe these folks, they was going high and low trying to find somebody to run against me. They even called Muriel Purvis. Muriel called me, she cracked up laughing. She said, "Gale, they don't even know we friends." And she wasn't even involved in politics. That's how crazy it was. So they finally got one person who stepped his crazy step out there to run against me. And wasn't nobody studying him, but I'm gonna tell you about these politics. He's a person that the first time he ran, I gave him a contribution to his campaign, and I ain't had no lot of money. I had 2 young boys, single, but I gave him money for his campaign. I was writing for the Tri-State Defender, and I gave him free ink that nobody else would give him, no news coverage, period. And so I always supported him, but the first chance he got to come run against me, he did, but the day of the election, he didn't step out there because he ain't had a vote. So I became the first female chair of the Shelby County Democratic Party. It was a long fight, but the lesson there is, if you want something, keep going for it, unless it's gonna kill you, and it didn't kill me. But anyway, so by me being the first woman chair, the door was open for many other females to become chair of the party.
Well, and look, I'm gonna say this. You've shared a lot. So in this program, I have what I call the SOA success system.
Okay.
And I believe, and you just demonstrated it, that if you can learn how to overcome obstacles,
you get knocked down, you just get back up.
If you learn to overcome obstacles. Absolutely. So if you learn to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, you can have SOA success. And that is success no matter what you go through. And Gale, you have definitely demonstrated that in your personal, professional, political life. You know what SOA success is. So you shared a lot already, but talk a little bit more about some of the obstacles you've had to overcome to get to where you are.
Okay, so some of the obstacles is, and I was just telling a young lady this last night who is in a high level position, and this applies for most women in African American. I'm going to talk about my people because it's what I know best. Whenever as you continue to climb and climb the right way, as most of us do as we work hard, you're gonna always have people coming at you. And you always have to be really cautious of all the people, new people who come in your life. One of my friends is a judge, Judge Jane Chandler. She always got new people. Jane, why don't you ask what these people want? You don't need all these new people in your life. So you have to be cautious of, I'm not saying, I got a lot of friends, I got a lot of associates, but my circle is real tight. The people who know the real Gale, where I can really cut up and be me, and be me. And so, and so, as I was telling you earlier, one of the things that Michelle Obama talks about, friends are just as important as work and family. And so, because sometimes your friends can be closer to you than your family.
Definitely.
So it's very important. So I have had, as I've come up through life, every area, political work and whatever, I've always had people close to me who cared about me. And another thing we must always have people who can speak up for you when you're not in the room. I speak up for people all the time now. I speak up for people who don't care for me, but if it's the right thing to do, I'm going to speak up, because it ain't for that person. I'm looking down the road for other people who are going to come behind that person. I remember when I was working at Light, Gas, and Water, we were in a room and we were talking about wages and increases and stuff. And this one Black female, I mean, I had to make it clear to them, no, she deserves a raise as well. And so we went back and forth, and she got the money from that day to this. I don't tell people what I do for them. I just do, because there have been people who've helped me. So what you have to do is pass it on. And don't look back and tell folks, well, I did this for you, I did that for you. No, if you do it from your heart, nobody owes you anything.
You are so
good. So some of the challenges I've had is, my mouth. My mouth. And I tell young people all the time, it's not good enough to be at the table. Okay. But when you're at the table, you got to speak up for your people. And I tell them, you don't have to do it like Gale, but you need to do it. So that has been one of the challenges. And there will always be people who are not receptive of Black women in particular, like me, who I'm honest. I'm going to speak up. And sometimes, people always, and even Black folks will start this mess about, but it's about how you do it. No, that's what other folks want you to be, kind and gentle and all that. I'm not prim and proper, and I'm at my age, I ain't trying to be. But I don't know young people. I ain't trying to encourage no young people to be like Gale, because you might hamper your growth. It's just that by growing up with the political arena, I developed and I helped so many people. I managed so many campaigns and touched so many lives that, there are people out there who are willing to speak up for Gale when she's not in the room, to willing to help Gale, and I don't expect anything from them, but they know that I'm genuine. And so, develop relationships with as many people as possible, help as many people as possible, but help them from your heart and don't expect anything in return. But I would just say, on the job, I've not had any really, but I had a couple bosses, and some bosses are like this. They want you to agree with everything that they say. They don't want you to disagree with them. But one of my bosses, I told him, I said, you know what? Every boss needs a Gale Jones Carson. And he looked at me. I said, yeah, that's what I mean. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to let you get in trouble. I'm not going to let you walk in that hole. And I'm going to tell you things you need to know. Because a lot of people, if they don't tell you, you're going to fail. And so that's the kind of employee that I am. And sometimes that's another challenge. That's another challenge. But there are true leaders who appreciate and value what people like myself bring to the table.
Well, I can tell you I do, and I'm a similar person that I say what I feel and I say what I mean. And I will speak up. And I've been in some positions too where probably same as you, was like my mouth might be a little much for some people. But I think it's important.
But you're honest, as long as you're honest and telling the truth and you're not trying to hurt people.
Exactly. And you are standing for, you're helping people and the organization. You're saying what's right for the people and for the organization, and just not afraid to say it. I love that about you, and I'm unapologetically me as well.
Yeah.
So,
And,
but
and I
Gale,
appreciate it unapologetically people, because we all have to value and respect who each of us are. And some people
absolutely.
don't want that. I mean, even some Black folks, they want you quiet at the table because you're embarrassing them in front of non-Black people. And so I'm gonna tell you, this is something I learned a long time and I've never forgotten it. It was so hurtful to me when I was living on campus at Christian Brothers. I had my room and we lived in the suite. There was a room next to me, two young ladies. And one of the young ladies told us that her parents, her mother and father, did not like Martin Luther King and they saw him as a troublemaker. Gary, that was like a stab in my heart because I didn't think any Black people did not like Martin Luther King. I was like, I had to be 18 or 19 years old when she told me. And you see all these years later, it's still stuck with me because I just like how this man out here on the front line putting his life out here. This was before he was, well, no, he was assassinated then. But anyway, for somebody to tell me that some Black people, and then as I grew older and got out in the world, I learned that there were people who not just didn't like him, but African-American people who worked against him. So there are Black people who don't like Black people standing up or speaking up. They don't. They see us as an embarrassment, that we are causing problems for them, that something's going to be taken away because we speak up. But you know what? Respect is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you sitting at that table and you ain't speaking up. Sometimes people think you don't have nothing in your head. And then sometimes they want you sitting there quiet and they can always say, well, this Black person, I got this Black person, but they know you under, you owned, you
Yep.
under control.
Well, I
But
can
when I
always
speak up, it's never for Gale. It's never for Gale. It's always for my people. And it's always for right.
I love it, and I would agree with that. The second part of SOA Success System is about eliminating excuses. You've definitely done that. talk about some of the excuses you had to eliminate to push past a lot of those challenges that you went through.
Well, I mean, just the, people being out there always, especially in the political arena, wanting to knock you down because you just wasn't on their team, no matter what. I mean, and so on the jobs that I've had, other than the last couple of years I was at Light Gas and Water, I've enjoyed my work pretty much everywhere I was. And so but it just was in the political arena that I had most of my battles. And even though, a lot of people have problems, especially with some Republicans today, with the things that's going on in this country. But I tell people all the time, the people who have stepped on me and hurt me the most have been my people and Democrats. That's been my experience, personal experience. I can't speak for nobody else, but I can tell you about Gale.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you know what, Gale, let me say that because I'm not political and I haven't been in the political realm, but I think a lot of people can relate to that, even if they haven't been, just simply being let down or put down or disappointed by the very people that you would think would support you. How have you dealt with that and overcome that challenge?
Well, so let me tell you, so since I pray all the time, not just once a day and not just on my knees at night. I pray all the time, especially having a Black son and that too. So I have learned that unless somebody keep messing with me, then I just let go and let God. But then you keep messing with me, then that's a whole nother story. But there have been people who've done terrible things to me, Summer, that they ended up having to come to me one way or another when I was in the mayor's office or when I worked at MLGW. And you know what, Summer, I helped them. Because one of the things I learned in life, you must leave your personal feelings at the door when it comes to your job. And I remember one time when I was working at MLGW, this man called me. He needed me to help his mother. And both of them did terrible things to me. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I helped his mother. Sometimes you have to kill people with kindness. I helped his mother, and he called back, and he was very grateful. And you could feel it in his voice. And his mother called, and she thanked me. And they didn't expect me to help her. But you know, I'm trying to get through the pearly gates. And sometimes you have to let go and let God. And a lot of people that did stuff to me through the years, you just sit back on that sideline, Summer, get your popcorn, and you watch life handle them. And I have seen it. I have seen it. So, but now if you keep messing with me, you're gonna make me fight back. Now you're gonna make me fight back. And I mean, it's gonna be with the pen. Now I don't believe in physical violence. There's always other ways that you can fight people when they keep messing with you. But one of the things people have to know, you have to know who to fight, when to fight, and how to fight. And a lot of people don't know that. Some people you can't fight. Let go, let God. Sit back, watch life. Life will handle them.
That's wise words right there. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking about specific situations where I've implemented that, because I've lived enough too now to know exactly what you said. That's real good. And so
then too, Summer, keep being successful. Don't block. One of the things that I read on social media, don't block people on social media. Let them see your success.
Yes.
Block them, they can't see your success. Let them watch you. And foam at the mouth as you continue to rise.
And smile through it. That's what I was like. Just smile through it. You are exactly right. And takes me to the third part of a success system, which is calculated choices. And so talk about some of those calculated choices you made on your journey, including not blocking them and letting them see your success.
Well, actually, I just go through. So let me tell you, even the jobs I've had, and like some people, they'll come up with a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. I've never done that. I never sat back and said, well, I'm going to be here. I don't do that. I just look up and opportunities are there. Because God just guided me. That's all I can say. I don't do all that long-term stuff. And I'm not opposed to other people doing it, because now they're talking about vision boards and some of these people, when they do what they see it, I don't move like that. I have not moved like that in my life. I just let God guide me, because I don't know how long I'm supposed to be anywhere or what he wants me to do next. And so, you know, you got people out here telling all kind of lies on me about why I left like gas and water, calling Thaddeus Matthews with lies, and Thaddeus running the stuff without verifying it, talking about I was supported the wrong mayoral candidate. And everybody knows me. They'll tell you I don't get in those campaigns. I don't do it. First of all, I know a lot of these people, and I'm not going to choose one person over another. My job did not allow it. Our budget at MLGW went before the council. The mayor appointed my boss, so why would I be taking risks to get involved? But anyway, somebody called him with that mess, and then somebody said, I stood up in a meeting one day and said, I'm sick of this S. I mean, all kinds of mess. My mother passed last September. A whole lot of stuff was going on in my life. I retired from MLGW last October. Last October, I retired. Not one person have I discussed, even my son, with why I left, what happened, or any of that. But there's so many lies out there, but that's what people sit back and do. They don't have nothing else to do. One organization I'm in, you had some people in the meeting talking about how much money I pay for my shoes, whether or not I was going to get a pension. They not once asked, I wonder how she's doing. She's lost some money. She just retired. What has she been? They not one kind word. They were busy all in my pocketbook.
Worried about the wrong things. And that's exactly why I like having these conversations, Gale, is because I've seen it. I didn't know that's what you were experiencing. And I wish
let me tell you something else, Summer. This is what I found out. People look at you and they think you done had it easy. So one time I was giving a speech at a conference, and I told them about my political things, my political life. And so when I sat down after I gave my speech, there was a lady sitting behind me. She touched me. She said, you know, I thought all of these years, she said, I thought everything was given to you. I said, no, ma'am. I don't know a Black woman personally. Everything was given to every Black woman I know who's successful, whether she, no matter what level of life, because success is defined differently. We fight for what we want. I don't know too many. I'm sure there may be some who was given everything, because God has blessed some people to be wealthy now so they could pass it on to their children, grandchildren, whatever, because I'm helping my grandchildren every step of the way. But most of the people I know, especially my age, nothing was given to us. We had to fight for everything, work hard for everything. I mean, Black women, we have, and I don't care what nobody say, Black women have been the backbone of our race. We just have. My mom ended up a #2 person in federal probation and parole. And the white male boss she had told her one time, he said, if I could, I would hire all Black women.
Ah.
But because we work, we got families, we got stuff to take care of. We responsible. So we're gonna show up and we gonna work. That's what we do.
I love that you said that though about the assumption that people make. And that's exactly why I'm doing these interviews though, Gail. And that's exactly why you came to my mind and why I wanted to talk to you is because people will make assumptions and see
They make assumptions.
you. And you know what? And it is because you're right, as a Black woman, you represent, you're strong, you're powerful, and people see it. And so the wrong assumption is that you had it made, you ain't been through nothing. And I want to share people's stories of resilience. I want to share your story, and I'm so glad you have. You've had to fight, and you're still fighting.
But let me just tell you
some.
let me tell you some of the most hurtful moments I've experienced. There have been so many young females that I have mentored and that I've helped and I've done things for. And several of them have turned on me and done things very, very hurtful to me and had things taken away from me that were very, very valuable, meaningful to me. And these are people I care for and that I mentored. And it has happened several times. As a matter of fact, Deidre and I, we've helped a lot of people, a number of people to get in very key positions. And we both end up looking at each other saying we created monsters and we made bad decisions. But I still can't say, well, Gail, you're not going to help anybody else, get this or get that, because everybody's not going to fall in that crazy lane where they are hurtful to you. But that's another thing, when I say you have to have your circle small, but you also have to be able to analyze people. When you see people doing other people wrong, what you need to say to yourself is, it's not being done to me yet because it's not my turn yet. But if they do it to others who are close to them, they will also do it to you. So don't turn your head to the wrong that people do to other people, because they're showing who they are.
And you know what else that I heard in that though is it makes me think about what you were saying too. Still, you help people with the right heart, right? With you're helping from because I had a similar situation. I had a mentee who lived with me, and her child lived with me, and they turned on me. And so I know
it's crazy.
I know exactly what you're saying and how you feel.
And that's one of the most painful hurts.
It really is. But you, like you said though, or I think about first of all, watch the signs.
And watch the signs and don't think you special. That's the first thing. Don't think you special, because it can happen to you. Absolutely. And like you said, your situation, there may have been some things that you overlooked about that person, but eventually it hit you. It hit home.
Yep. And at the same time, you forgive yourself and you move forward more cautiously, but knowing that I did it with a good heart. And you know what? I still contributed to her life and to her child's life. And that's where I move forward from that. So Gail, what you've demonstrated, and you even said this, everybody has their own definition of success. You've demonstrated you are a successful woman. You know how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices. You know what success is. But what now is your personal definition of success?
Well, for me, my personal definition of success is, in my life right now, I want peace. I want quiet. I want to spend as much time as humanly possible with my 2 granddaughters. When I leave here, I want them to always have cherished memories of me. And my son, but having grandchildren like the best thing since sliced bread.
It is.
So I had 2 sons, and then God blessed me with 2 granddaughters. And so these are the girls I didn't have. And I just want to make a positive impression on their lives. And to me, that would be success for me, just that they be decent, human, productive, good people, and that they succeed in whatever they want to do, whatever that might be. But I want to always be in their ear, giving them wisdom. And my youngest granddaughter, Brianna Gale, I remember taking her to the airport one time, so she could go home. And she said, Granny, all right, give me some wisdom. Give me one piece of wisdom, girl. I don't know why she limited to one, because I didn't stop at one. But it made me feel good that she asked.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't tell her about no, like I told you, you never know who's watching it. It's not just me watching folks, but young people, they watch us, they watch us. So Brianna, I'll take her to national political events that, Deidre's the national president of the Women Political Caucus, and they go to DC, and I get to introduce my grandbaby to congresswomen, and black or white, it don't matter. They women who are successful. And so she's seen a whole lot of this stuff, and I don't push any of it on her. So the last time we went to DC, I'm standing back in this room, and this woman who's the first Black female congresswoman, all these powerful women, and then I don't know why she's sitting back watching Brianna. I mean, she worked in the room, taking calls. She was, and at that time, it was this year, so she was 17. She'll be 18 next month. I mean, so she would come back and tell me about these valuable conversations. One lady, she's some kind of a young girl, me out there in California. She went over abroad to work. I mean, she's taken all of this in. And so when with Black women kicked off after Kamala Harris announced that Saturday that she was going to be running, that Sunday they had that call, and they had 44,000 women on the call. First they were saying 50,000, but anyway, it ended up being 44,000. Brianna wanted to be on that call. She got on that call. She made her very, very first campaign contribution to a candidate that night. So I'm not telling her you need to be a congresswoman. I am not telling her anything, but she's absorbing information. She's absorbing stuff. She wants to grow worldwide. So to me, that's success for me, how I touch my granddaughters, how I help them in any way I can. Like Jasmine over here in another country trying to get home. I'm on the phone all night. I can't sleep until she get here back to America. And so I want to be that in their life. And for me, that's my success.
I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure that's not how you would have defined success, even maybe a few years ago.
No, success probably would have been tied to my job. It would have been tied to my political career. But now at the age that I am, and success changes as we grow. And success is different for everybody. Some folks may tie success to their health, So it has a different meaning but whatever it is, it ought to be something that you're tenacious about and that you're willing to fight for.
So that's why I asked that question, is because I love hearing how people define it. And you said two things I want to speak on real quick. One, yes, you're so right. My grandchildren are everything.
You have grandchildren?
I do. I have.
Oh my God, how old are they?
10 and 5.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and I know that love that you feel, and I felt everything that you just said, because that's exactly how I feel. And
it's like we're giving another chance.
You said it exactly how I said it, and especially I had my son so young, and I know I didn't do the best. I did the best I could, but I didn't do the best. But the best
that you could was the best. That was the best.
You're right. You're right. It just feels like now I'm more wise. Now I have more money. Now I have more resources. Now I can do so much more. And so I love your answer. And I would say that's very much in line with my answer. And the other thing that you said it twice, but it's so important, is that you never know who's watching. And when I taught at the University of Memphis, I would always tell my students that, because I would always have people looking to hire people. People would always ask me. And I'm like, I wish I had a student who I could refer, because then they got a job. And sometimes I would, but I would always tell my students, you don't even know what opportunities you don't miss.
Exactly.
Because somebody is always watching, and somebody's always observing. So for good or for bad, people can see you, and sometimes you don't even know when you messed up something.
Exactly. So I mean, like during the pandemic, there were decisions or things that people did that I saw as negative, and I'm like, but there are other people who are doing all this work and who's this, that, and the other. That's who's gonna get the promotions. Yeah. You don't see that I see this, but the other people gonna get the promotions.
Yep. So one last question for you, Gale. This has been such a good conversation. So good. And I learned so much, so much. One last look, I'm gonna do you like your granddaughter did. What's one piece of advice, one piece of wisdom that you would leave somebody with who's watching this? They want to be successful, but they have challenges, whatever those challenges might be. What's one piece of advice?
Well, first of all, we all have challenges. You need to recognize what those challenges are, and you need to come up with solutions. If it's something that you really want, you need to be tenacious about achieving whatever goals that you have. And if that means writing them down or just putting them in your head. A friend of mine who I went to high school and college with, she told me years later, I told her that one day I was going to be important. I don't remember telling her that. But that goes to the vision board, these young people today, if that's going to help you achieve your goals. But one of the most important things, and I tell this, I want this for my granddaughters, always be kind and always be nice to people. It doesn't hurt to be nice. You never know who can help you one day, and that's not why you're doing it. But kindness will take you a long way. And I'll give you an example. I was working on trying to get some federal stuff done. It was new to me. I was having challenges, and this lady, she was, she missed being off a day or something because something was going on in her family. And her boss told her, you need to get back on there to get. And so I said, no, ma'am, no, ma'am, we're not going to do this. You need to take care of your situation. And how about, she didn't just stop there. She took care of everything I needed done that I was having challenges with, and I didn't know how to do. I just got an email. I didn't have to do a Zoom call. She took care of it. And that's just because I was being kind and nice. And it was from my heart. I didn't know she would do that. I had no expectation. So it's very important about how you treat people as we go through this life. And you never know how this is going to pay off, but know what your goals are, know what you want, be willing to fight for it. You don't have to do it like Gale, but do it.
But do it. But do it. That is so good. Thank you again, Gale. It's been an honor. It's been truly an honor.
It's been an honor being on here with you, Summer. I appreciate you asking me to share my story. There will be a book one day, and there will be names, because it's the most stuff I ain't tell you about. But anyway, you can read it in the book.
Thank you so much, Gale.
All right. Thank you, and have a good day. And then not only that, I tell people now, be safe.
Yes. Thank you.